First meeting of the Manchester Planning and Zoning Commission will now come to order. First item on the agenda is the review and approval of the October 15th, 2024 minutes. Everybody should have a copy of those minutes in your package. If you could take a look at them for a minute. See if there are any corrections or changes that need to be made.
I'd like to read if they have. I'd like to recommend approval.
Okay, we have a motion for approval. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next.
Okay,
Michelle, how are you this evening?
good. How are you all?
Well,
I'm just a brief thing on the Equine Meadows. I still have not heard anything. Robert Hallwick did call me, said he plans to be here in February, but
we've been hearing that since August, so.
right. The Maverick Solar project is continuing. They're starting to excavate and get all the grading done to start building. Patapsco is still working on their stormwater, and so is Patriots. So I have not heard back from them. And what else do we have? And then, as you know, the Lippy property has approached us again, and they'll be speaking to us this evening. And the water sewer master plan that we turned in is supposed to be finally going to the commission this month in January. And since Steve is not here, he gave me a list of items that he had discussed at the council meeting, but the town was contacted by a Turning Point Energy that wanted to use some of the spray fields to put a solar field in, but where they wanted to be was not anything that could work for us, right? The ENR upgrade is 60% design done. The PFAS project, the draft of request for proposal was sent to MDE for review. Antietam broadband fiber project that's throughout town is almost complete. The town hall is getting connected along with our other sites, the maintenance shop, the plant, the historical center, and they're all doing that for us, complimentary, for putting the hub on our property. The Manchester East Stormwater Facility that is down at the end of Beaver Street that they're working on with the county. The county's negotiating with the property owner now for a price for the property so that they can start that. We don't have anything on the Main Street crosswalks refurbishment, which we've asked about several times, but nothing is moving on that. And the crosswalk for the school is going out for bids. We're putting a crosswalk in there at the school. So that's for the town. And then on our zoning amendments, there was just a couple of things. Henry had mentioned we might want to have a work session for this to work a little more in depth on it. But there was a couple things that I wanted to reach out to you about. What did I do with them? Oh, jeez. You know what? I might have to reach out later. I think I might have left it. Oh, there it is. Okay. There was a couple places, the 250-9, which was the cannabis question I had about grandfathering or whatever. I talked to Tom, and that is already in there. We don't even have to touch that. It was worded that I didn't pick it up. The 250-23, which was temporary offices and storage, we had an issue last year with a pod, because we allow people the storage pods, but they parked it in the street, which was very narrow to begin with, and then had to call the company back out. Took several days to get it out of the street. So now we're going to put in there that it has to be on your property. It can't be on a public street. I found in our 250-26, which is accessories, where we describe that you can be 50% of the perimeter of your home, no more than 50% of the perimeter of your home in square feet. We omitted saying that in the R75 and the BL. And that came up with someone that was putting in a shed, so I'm going to correct that kind of stuff. Okay. The fences, I had a question on. We originally had said 10 feet off a sidewalk. No sidewalk, 10 feet off the street. Well, if they have a sidewalk, can they be 5 feet off? Because then they're already 10 feet off the street. So that's something we want to discuss. The pool issue we want to discuss, because is it the actual footprint of the pool.
Or does it include the
Right. So we need to-
concrete decking around it? Yeah.
we need to discuss that. I wish Bob was here because 250-26F, where we talked about the ground-based solar panels, that was something he wanted changed in the wording, and I want to make sure we got covered. What all,
Yeah,
wanted to be in
that's
there.
why I think we're going to need a work session to
yeah.
hash some of this out.
Yeah, and I had some questions too. When you start reading it, like accessories, and we talk about sheds cannot be any closer than 6 feet to your principal residence. I don't understand why that was put in there, or does anybody know why we're 6 feet off? So another
I do
thing we
not.
might want to discuss. Some people's topography can't be 6 feet off, with their way their ground goes. So that's another area I want to hit. We have some discrepancies in height of buildings in different zonings, and I'm going to hit that. So these are the big things I want to talk about to have a work session.
Okay. I guess after the meeting, we can
Figure out a date.
figure out some dates that might work for everybody. Send them on out. Thank you, Michelle. Next, council report. Chris?
Nothing new to report, normal council business, and nothing in addition to Michelle's comments.
Okay, thank you. Now for Carroll County. Andrew, how are you this evening?
I am well, Mr. Chair, and you?
We're doing well, thank you.
Thank you. I know when it gets closer to my eyebrows that it's time for the hair to go, so I like short hair, less to maintain. So just a couple updates regarding, and Michelle mentioned, for the Fall Water and Sewer Amendment, Fall 2024 Water and Sewer Amendment to the 2023 Carroll County Water and Sewer Master Plan. That was on January 2nd, presented to the Board of County Commissioners. They voted to conduct a public hearing. That public hearing will be on January 30th. Also, spring amendment, any spring amendments are due by February 1st. So that is closely approaching. For the housing study, the county consultant, Mosaic, they presented the housing study to the Board of County Commissioners back in the middle of December. The study, executive summary, and presentation will be placed on the Housing Study and Carroll County Master Plan website soon. Also, planning staff will be working with a work group to review the study and discuss feasible ways to implement the recommended strategies. For master plan update, the Planning Commission has been discussing, Carroll County Planning and Zoning Commission has been discussing different aspects of the master plan, including background information and the work program at each of their regularly scheduled meetings. Public outreach activities are being planned for February. Website has been launched, which is carroll2035.org, carroll2035.org. And discussions beginning soon about how to involve each of the 8 municipalities in the planning process. And that is all I have, Mr. Chair. If you have any questions.
On that hearing on the 30th, what time is that hearing, Andrew?
That hearing is, I think it's 9 o'clock. I'm almost positive that is at 9 o'clock in the county office building on the 3rd floor. Let me check my Outlook schedule here. Yes, 9 to 9:30 I have it down for. And tentatively.
Okay. Any other questions for Andrew?
All good, thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Andrew. Okay, next item on the agenda is the approval of the annual report for Manchester.
I gave you copies of the report, but this was a year where there was nothing to report.
We had
didn't
no
have
new
anything.
development.
Nothing at all, so it's a very simple one.
Right. So unless anybody has any questions about nothing happening, do we have a motion for?
I'll make a motion, we approve the.
Chris has made a motion. Do we have a second? Second. Okay, we have a motion to approve in a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, last item on the agenda is I guess, preliminary introduction to the Lippy property. Mr. Hackett, how are you this evening?
Well, everybody, hope everybody's doing well. Yeah, we appreciate staff allowing us to come in, of course, the commission to allow to come in informally to talk about the project. Just a quick recap on the project. It was annexed about a year and a half, 2 years ago, after a long process of getting to that point. The Lippy Farm and the Old Town property was sort of looked at together, and part of the Lippy Farm was, the rest of it, remainder was annexed into the property with an agreement that it was be a total of 40 single-family homes. And I think most people are familiar with it, even though if you weren't on the commission at that point in time. Since then, we've done a lot of research. We've worked on a traffic study, worked with the town, the county, the State Highway Administration. We got an approval of a traffic study. We looked at the improvements to Maryland Route 30 at Maple Grove, the signal modifications, the lane configurations and all that stuff, the wetland issues there. And basically we're coming up with, it's a very large number to build it. And we're looking at about $2 to $2.5 million, possibly more, and that's just conceptual, so you never know what you're gonna run into.
At the intersection.
Well, it's the intersection plus along the
Well,
road.
yeah,
Because
plus-
we have those pole relocations.
Right,
There's some pole
right.
relocations going on. So one thing adds up to another. So we're here back in front to talk about some other ideas with the property. And what the idea was, Woodhaven was approached by a solar company for a portion of it. So we'd like to talk about moving forward with something like that and getting the town's feedback. And that's why we're here informally about it, just to get a general idea. And we know we got a Board of Zoning Appeals case to do for the conditional use. The rest of it, we're looking at doing in a forest conservation bank, a forestry bank, for the remainder of what we can do. There's wetlands on the site, that kind of thing, so we don't know if we're gonna go to that extreme of putting it in the wetlands, because just the survivability, but that's all details, but we're gonna do the remainder in the forestry bank.
Let me just advise
Go ahead.
you that the Forest Conservation Bank is a heck of a lot simpler to undertake than the Wetland Mitigation Bank. Unless Mr. Pyatt wants to secure something in perpetuity, I think you might be better served going with the Forest Conservation Bank.
Yeah, and we were talking about the plantings of the forestry in some of the wetland areas.
Yeah,
We don't even know if we're going to that extreme.
yeah,
though.
it's pretty wet down
Yes.
in there unless you,
So that's why we're here tonight, just our thoughts on it, get your thoughts, any feedback you get would be appreciated.
well, you're talking about a Forest Con Bank and solar. What kind of a breakdown of the acreage are we looking at for one use versus the other?
I think it was about 15, 18 acres of solar. And this is both properties also. We're talking
Right.
about both of them. Old Town, it's about, and the forestry would end up being about 20, couple acres. And that does not include the wetland areas
Yeah,
and the
yeah,
buffers and stuff.
that's fine. Yeah, I spoke to Jonathan Bowman the other day. They're in dire need of forest conservation banks in the county.
They are.
Now, would this one be available for any developer to use credit? I know, Mr. Pyatt, you have another bank that you've kind of held on to for your own needs. Yeah, yeah, okay.
This would be, the intention would be to use for the public, for the other people that need it. Anything over and above, because I don't think the projects they have right now in the Carroll County, most right now is up in the PA area. So this would be available, and the county is short forestry.
Oh, no question.
So anyway, if you guys want to, I brought a plan, but it's kind of, I'll hold it, if you guys can see, what's in the green would be the forest conservation area. And then the solar, if you can see, is in this area here. And that was actually laid out by the solar company. And
And we know we got a lot of work to do. This is just the beginning of it.
Right. How many residentials are going to be adjoining directly to the solar field?
It's,
Because those would be the houses coming in off of Charmel, wouldn't they?
actually, no, it would be the ones.
Southwestern.
At
Southwestern.
Charmel Drive and the intersection of
Yeah,
Southwestern.
yeah.
So it would be there's the church there, and there's a couple homes, less than 5 probably.
Yeah. Michelle, anything from the town's perspective that raises concerns? I mean, the Forest Conservation Bank, I think that's wonderful, but I don't know what your,
We were talking about this, but did you look at the requirements for what we've put in our code for solar? As far as it has to have double, twice the setbacks, twice the landscaping.
We're going through that now, but we will have to address that, as we go through the process.
Yeah, I just didn't know if that would still allow you to get what size, solar they want to put in there.
We believe so,
Okay.
yep.
So you're not doing anything at the Maple Grove Road intersection then, if you were to go forward with this?
No, sir.
Well, I'll vote for it now.
I mean, they're not proposing any residential at all.
I think it's a great idea.
It's
I
one
do
of those
too.
things.
I do too. My only concern is, as Michelle, to make sure that the solar meets all the town requirements and that we're not putting some undue visual burden on significant number of residences.
Correct.
That's my concern.
And we'll be
Try to lay it
certainly-
out to avoid those conflicts, but if it means 40 less dwelling units,
Well, it's a win-win.
yeah,
Um,
we're renewable energy,
it's
we're
a win
creating
for-
forests. I mean,
It's
for
a
the
win for the
town.
town and the community with no housing. Hopefully the owner recoups some of his investment in that area, because it's been, what, 30 years?
Yeah.
at
Oh, yeah, it's
least.
been around, yeah.
It's, you
Yeah,
know,
when was the original plan? 1979, I
No,
think.
probably, yeah. You know,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's what I thought.
yeah. So it's a great compromise, I think.
Yeah,
All right.
Yep.
Well, like I said, we appreciate the informal
well,
invite.
we
You'll be
appreciate
seeing
you
us
coming
again,
to us.
hopefully, sometime in the near future.
Okay,
We
Very
gotta go
good.
in front of the BZA first.
okay,
That would be a nightly meeting as well, correct?
yes.
The last Wednesday of the month. So,
I gotta be here next Wednesday? No,
no.
kidding.
And your application has to be in by the first of the month.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Hackett.
Thank you.
Okay, any other, I saw a gentleman just arrived, any business? I would love to talk about it. Sure. Yeah, when you come up to the mic, give us your name and address, so we know who's speaking.
My name is Mike Sensel. I live on Seattle Slough Way, which is outside of town limits, but it's going to be surrounded by the Powers subdivision that is inside the city limits, and that was the
Patriots Overlook?
Patriots Overlook division, yeah. And actually, was that the Powers gentleman?
No,
No? Okay.
No,
I'm
no.
sorry. He just had a faint reference. Sorry, apologize about that.
no, that's fine.
I was just here tonight just because I had a question. So I know the Patriots Overlook is not on the schedule for this evening, but I didn't know if you had any information. My home is like the one that will be surrounded the majority of the Patriots Overlook. And I have pictures, but there was a well digger machine that was out there. I'm assuming it's a well digger. It has a big drill on the front of it, and it looks like it's drilling down, which
It's
seemed
probably a soil boring rig, they're probably doing soil borings.
And it certainly could be that. And I will say I'm totally naive with construction materials, and I was just wondering if they were testing wells. I didn't know. I thought it was all going to be
No,
city
because
water,
it's all
so-
gonna be city water, so.
I'd assumed
it
as
would-
much.
They're just doing soil borings to check for soil compatibility, for infiltration rates, for stormwater management,
Okay.
and things of that nature, and, constructability of the soil. they have to do any special measures to put
Okay.
footers in. That's what they're doing.
Gotcha. And then I would also say that today they were doing some bulldozing of trees on the top of kind of where my shared driveway begins, which is off a park. No. What's the road that's
Brome Court?
yeah, right off of Brome Court. So as you kind of like get to my shared driveway, there's some trees that will eventually be like houses that were already part of the city. So I didn't know if that was something that is talked about in the Planning and Zoning Commission board as well, because I guess they're already kind of in the city, and it's not a. I don't know if there was as many questions about those houses that were going to be at the end of Brome Court or not. I just didn't know if there was any.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm not understanding exactly what
Yeah,
the question is here.
Well, I was just.
you said they've taken some trees down.
Gotcha, yeah. So they just have some bulldozers, like I guess in there, kind of like either thinning out the trees that they're going to eventually remove. I didn't know if there was any kind of. I just didn't know if there was any planning and zoning commission about those houses. I didn't know if there was any talk that needs to be done because they were already in the city.
Well,
No, they're all part of the subdivision, so we have to approve everything.
right, it's all gonna be one.
It's all
piece
gonna be
now that
reviewed as one site plan, and we're gonna
It's all in the city.
review all of them.
Gotcha, all the stuff that's at the top
Right.
too. Okay.
It'll all be submitted together, so they won't do just that,
Right.
that portion of court without doing the rest of it.
Okay, I just was wondering how things were like moving along since I saw like a bulldozer guy in there today. Kind
How
of
much
knocking stuff down.
disturbance has occurred up there?
I mean, it's tough to tell because I don't look at those trees all that often, and it wasn't like a huge bulldozer. It was more like a kind of like a one that has like a front loader kind of thing. It was a little bit more bobcatty, maybe bigger than a bobcat, but like not like a full size thing or anything.
I'm not aware of anything up there, but I'm certainly gonna put out a call and see what they're doing.
Yeah, find out what's going on, because, you know, it's one thing if they're doing a couple of test pits and they're knocking a few trees down, but if they're up there kind of removing vegetation, they're not, with a bulldozer, they shouldn't be up there
I actually
doing
have
it.
pictures, so I could show you if that helps you understand the.
Yeah, we
the
can take a
equipment
look
was
after
there.
the meeting,
So, okay, cool.
take a look
All
at
right,
it.
well, thank you for your time. I
Oh,
just want to
and-
make sure
and-
I'm staying updated.
Yeah, and, you know, they'll be back on the docket, so, you know,
I always get them.
feel free to attend,
Thank you.
okay? Okay, any other business that we need to discuss? If not, I take a motion for adjourning the meeting.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn the meeting.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second?
Okay, all those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Good night, everybody.